I don't know when I lost my son exactly. I wish I could point to one day, one fight, one moment when the light in his eyes dimmed and the headphones went on for good. But it didn't happen all at once. It was gradual. Like watching a shoreline erode, slow, almost invisible until one day you realize the beach is just gone. His name is Evan. He's 15. And he plays video games like it's oxygen. Like it's the only thing keeping him alive. I used to joke about it, tell my buddies he was probably born with a joystick in his hand. But there's nothing funny about it anymore. Evan doesn't eat with us. He doesn't talk to us. Hell, he doesn't even make eye contact unless you stand between him and his monitor. He sleeps all day, plays all night. We haven't had a real conversation in over a year. I don't even know what his voice sounds like when it's not muttering into a headset. And I hate what this has turned me into. I yell. I threaten. I lock the router up like it's a weapon. But every time it backfires. He gets more distant, more silent. His mom, Lisa, says I'm too harsh. That I need to understand him, meet him where he is. But she doesn't understand either. She coddles. She excuses. And deep down, I think she's just scared she's already lost him too. I started tracking his online hours. A full 80-hour work week, but for gaming. He plays with people from all over Thailand, Germany, God knows where else. I once caught him speaking in a British accent. Like he was becoming someone else. It's not just a game anymore. It's a life. And I'm not in it. Last week, I tried something drastic. I took the power cord while he was in the bathroom. Unplugged everything. Thought maybe I could reset his brain. Instead, he locked himself in his room for 2 days and refused to eat. I sat outside his door, begging him to talk to me, saying I was sorry. I could hear the white noise of his backup generator. Yeah, he had a freaking generator. Said he built it with parts he ordered online. I didn't even know. I used to be the one who taught him how to fix things. Now I'm the one being outsmarted. Lisa cried that night. Said she felt like she was grieving a son who's still alive. And I sat there, staring at a slice of cold pizza, realizing I didn't have a single photo of Evan smiling in the last 2 years. Not one. So yeah, I snapped. I searched his room while he was at school. I know how that sounds. But I needed to know what the hell was happening in there. Under his bed, I found a notebook. Pages and pages of drawings. Characters, maps, strange symbols. There were names too: Valari, Juno, Catch, people he knew online. I thought they were fake. NPCs. But one of them had written back. Not just notes, but letters. Personal ones. Someone out there knew my son better than I did. And then I saw it. A message scrawled in red ink: this world doesn't hurt me like yours does. And that's when I realized, maybe the problem wasn't the game. Maybe the problem was me. But it was already too late. Because Evan was gone. Not physically. Emotionally. Psychologically. And that night I made the worst decision of my life. I logged into his account. With his password. And what I found inside made my blood run cold. Logging into his account felt like trespassing into a private diary, except this wasn't just a game account, it was another life built pixel by pixel, friend by friend, secret by secret. His screen name was Corvus73. I don't know what it meant, but the moment I entered the world, I understood why he never wanted to leave it. It was stunning, not in a flashy way, but in how alive it felt. His avatar wasn't some monster-slaying brute, it was a tall, hooded figure with delicate tattoos glowing along his arms. And people knew him. I watched the chat light up the second I spawned. Corvus, you back? Thought you ghosted us, man. Dude, we just beat the Obsidian Fortress. You missed it. They missed him, respected him. I don't even think his teachers know his name. I started walking through the village, his base. I assumed every structure was crafted with care. A little greenhouse with pixelated flowers, a small library with signs that said things like, don't forget to log off for water, and you matter even when you don't feel like it. I was stunned my son had built this, and then came the message, A. Private one, hey, who is this? I froze. Another message came, this isn't Evan, he never moves like that. It was from Juno, one of the names I saw in the notebook. I hesitated, then replied, I'm his dad. I just wanted to understand. He won't talk to me. The reply came fast. Get out, this place is all he has left. It hit me like a punch to the chest. All he has left, what did that even mean? I tried asking more. What are you talking about? Has he said something? Is he okay? But Juno went silent, logged off. I stayed up all night combing through everything, his saved chats, his forums, even his mod folder, and what I saw started making things painfully clear. My son had been posting in anonymous threads talking about being numb, about how nothing in the real world felt real, about how Corvus was the only version of himself that didn't disappoint everyone. There was one post that gutted me, dated about 3 months ago. Every time I try to talk to him, he just tells me to unplug. He doesn't get it. I wish he knew that this isn't addiction. It's survival. I closed the laptop and just sat there. For the first time in years I cried. I'm not even sure why. Guilt, maybe fear, grief for a living child. When Evan got home from school that afternoon, I tried to act normal, asked him if he wanted Thai food. He grunted and disappeared into his room. 10 minutes later, I heard his door lock. I knocked. Evan, can we talk? Silence, please. Then finally, did you go on my account? I opened my mouth, closed it. I just wanted to see what it was like. Another long silence. Then, you had no right. I said I was sorry, that I was just trying to understand. That's when he said it. I don't care if you understand. You're not even in my life anymore. You just live near it. I swear it physically hurt to hear those words. That night, I did something I'm still not sure I regret. I downloaded a program, one I wasn't supposed to have access to, one that lets you lock an entire device's gaming rig with a passcode that only I knew. And when Evan woke up and found everything locked out, his screams shook the house. But it wasn't the yelling that scared me, it was what he said right after. If I can't go back, I don't want to be here at all. When he said those words, I swear the whole house went still, like the walls were holding their breath, like even the air was afraid to move. I stood outside his door, my heart pounding so hard I could barely hear anything else. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I realized I might have pushed him over the edge. I banged on the door. Evan, open up now, open up, please. Nothing, just silence. Then the sudden clatter of something heavy hitting the floor. I didn't think. I just slammed my shoulder against the door once, twice, 3 times until it burst open, and what I saw made my stomach drop. Evan was sitting on the floor, his back against the bed, his eyes hollow and distant, and in his lap was a shattered headset split clean down the middle, wires spilling out like guts. He wasn't looking at me, he wasn't looking at anything, he just stared through me, and I swear to God it felt like he wasn't even fully there anymore. Lisa came running up the stairs behind me. When she saw the broken pieces, she gasped, covered her mouth, and started crying. Evan, she whispered, Evan, baby, talk to us. But he didn't move, didn't blink, nothing. I knelt down next to him, tried to put a hand on his shoulder, but he flinched so hard it was like I had slapped him. Get out, he muttered, and for a second I almost didn't recognize his voice. It was so small, so broken. Lisa tried too. She knelt down on his other side, begged him to just come downstairs, eat something, sleep, anything, but he just kept rocking slightly back and forth, whispering something under his breath over and over again. And when I leaned closer, I heard it. I don't belong here, I don't belong here, I don't belong here. That night, Lisa and I sat in the kitchen in the dark, no lights, no TV, no talking. We didn't even touch her food. We just sat there trying to process what had happened. She blamed herself, I blamed myself, I blamed the stupid games, the stupid headset, the stupid internet, everything except the truth that had been staring us in the face for months, maybe years. We had lost him long before tonight. I wanted to fix it, to undo the damage somehow, so I made a decision that at the time felt like love, but now I realize was pure desperate fear. I booked a session with one of those tech addiction camps. You know, the ones that promise to rewire your kid in 30 days. Tough love, wilderness therapy, no screens, no phones, just nature and discipline and hard resets. I didn't tell Evan, I just told him we were going on a trip together, just him and me like we used to when he was little. I thought maybe if I could get him away from all of it, he would come back to me. We drove 5 hours north into the mountains. Evan barely spoke the whole time. He just stared out the window, his hoodie pulled up over his head, his hands stuffed into his sleeves like he was trying to shrink himself into nothing. When we got there, it was worse than I imagined. High fences, big gates, cold-eyed counselors who took one look at Evan and nodded like he was just another broken thing to fix. Evan realized where we were within minutes. He begged me not to leave. He cried, not screamed, not yelled, not fought, just cried quietly, shaking like a kicked dog, and I left anyway. I left my son standing there at the gate crying for me to take him home, and I told myself it was for his own good. I told myself this was saving him. That night I checked into a motel nearby thinking I'd sleep, but sleep never came, not even close. Instead, around 3 in the morning, my phone buzzed. It was a call from the camp director. My stomach turned to ice before I even answered, and when I picked up, all I heard was one sentence: you need to come back right now, there's been an incident. I drove like a madman back up that twisting mountain road, tires screaming around every bend, praying over and over under my breath, please God, let him be okay, please just let him be okay. When I pulled up to the camp gates, they were already open, 2 men in dark jackets waving me through with grim faces. I barely parked the truck before I was out and running, following a flashlight beam down a dirt path through the trees. The camp director, a stocky bald man, was waiting for me near one of the cabins, his arms crossed tight against his chest. He didn't waste time with greetings or explanations, just pointed to the open door. I went in, heart slamming so hard I thought it would break my ribs, and there was Evan sitting on the edge of a bunk, knees pulled to his chest, face buried in his arms, alive but shaking like he'd been dropped into ice water. A counselor sat nearby holding a clipboard, watching him like a hawk. The director spoke low and clipped behind me. He tried to run in the middle of the night, Made it past the fences, damn near broke his ankle climbing the south wall. We found him down by the creek, said he wanted to keep running until he disappeared. I didn't say anything, couldn't say anything. I just crossed the room and dropped to my knees in front of him. Evan, I whispered, but he wouldn't look up, wouldn't even move. The counselor cleared his throat, said he needed to fill out some paperwork to report the escape attempt, said they'd be transferring Evan to a higher security program unless I signed a waiver giving them permission. I looked at Evan, at how small and wrecked he looked, and something inside me finally snapped. I told the director we were leaving effective immediately. He protested, said Evan wasn't ready, that it would be a mistake, but I didn't care. I didn't care about anything but getting my son out of that place. Evan didn't say a word the whole drive back. He just stared at his busted ankle, cradling it like something precious. Every so often I'd glance over, hoping he'd say something, call me an idiot, scream anything, but he didn't. He was hollow. By the time we got home, Lisa was waiting at the door. She ran to hug Evan, but he stiffened and brushed past her straight up to his room. The door clicked shut with a finality that made my skin crawl. Lisa turned on me, then her face pale with fury. What the hell did you do? She asked in a voice so quiet it was scarier than if she'd screamed, and I told her everything about the camp, about the waiver, about how Evan had tried to run. She listened in silence, and then she just broke down, sliding to the floor, sobbing like I'd killed someone, and maybe I had in a way, because the boy who locked himself in that room upstairs wasn't our Evan anymore. Not really. He was something different, something cracked and fragile and almost unrecognizable. I sat down at the bottom of the stairs and stayed there all night, waiting, hoping, praying that he would come down, that he would forgive me. But morning came, and he still hadn't opened the door. I knocked gently. Evan, can we talk? Nothing, just that same dead silence. Finally, around noon, the door creaked open, just a crack, and for a second hope flared in my chest until I saw what he was holding, a battered suitcase packed to the brim, clothes sticking out the sides. Evan, please, I started, but he shook his head, not meeting my eyes, and said in a voice hoarse and broken, I'm leaving. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, just stared at him holding that battered suitcase like he was a grown man about to catch a bus to anywhere. But here, Evan, please, I begged him, this isn't the answer. You can't just run away from everything. He finally looked at me then, and the look in his eyes was colder than anything I had ever seen. Not angry, not hurt, just done, like there was nothing left inside him to even fight back with. You ran away from me first, he said, and I felt the words hit me like a blow to the gut. He walked past me slow and steady, like he had rehearsed this 1,000 times in his head. Lisa stood frozen in the hallway, sobbing so hard she could barely stand, and still he didn't stop, didn't even hesitate. I followed him outside barefoot into the driveway, calling his name over and over, Evan, come back, Evan, please. But he just kept walking down the sidewalk, suitcase dragging behind him, wheels rattling over the cracks in the pavement. It was early afternoon. Neighbors were outside mowing lawns, walking dogs, and they all just watched, none of them saying a word, just watching like it was a TV show playing out live on their front steps. I didn't care. I chased after him, caught up halfway down the street, grabbed his arm. He flinched so violently it stopped me cold, like he thought I was going to hit him. I let go immediately, stepped back, hands raised like I was the one in the wrong, and maybe I was, I don't know anymore. Evan, I whispered, voice cracking, come home, we can fix this, I'll do anything, just tell me what to do. For the first time in months, maybe years, he spoke to me, really spoke, and it broke me into a million pieces. You can't fix what you broke, Dad. You can't just hit reset like it's a game. This is real, and you left me in it alone. He wiped his sleeve across his face, shoved the suitcase handle back up, and kept walking. I followed for another block, another two, before I realized there was no point. He was walking away from everything, and there was nothing I could do to stop him. I stood there on the sidewalk watching my son disappear down the road until he was just a shadow against the setting sun, until even the sound of his suitcase wheels was swallowed up by the distance. And that's when the real panic set in, not the sharp, bright panic of the moment, but the slow, drowning kind, the kind that tells you this is it, this is final, this is your punishment, and you earned every second of it. Lisa found me an hour later, still standing there, still staring down the empty street. Like maybe if I stood there long enough he'd come back. She didn't say anything, just wrapped her arms around me, and we stood there in the dying light, broken, lost, and too damn late. We called everyone we knew, his friends, his teachers, even some of the parents of kids he gamed with. No one had seen him, no one had heard from him. Hours turned into days, days into a week. The police said he was classified as a runaway, said he was probably staying with a friend somewhere, but I knew he wasn't anywhere normal. Evan didn't belong in this world anymore, not really. He belonged to the other one, the one I tore him away from, the one he built brick by brick because ours wasn't safe enough. And then one night, 7 days after he disappeared, I found something on my desk at home, a plain envelope, no stamp, no return address, just one word written across the front in familiar shaky handwriting, Dad. Inside was a single note, 5 words that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I found a better world. I must have read that note 100 times before it really sank in the meaning of it, the weight of it. Every time my eyes skimmed those 5 words, I kept hoping there was some hidden message, some clue, some crack that would tell me where he was, but there wasn't. It was simple. Brutal final. Evan was gone by choice. He had stepped into another world, one I could never reach, not by kicking down doors or unplugging routers or dragging him through mountains and wilderness. He had slipped through my fingers without even slamming a door behind him. Lisa sat on the kitchen floor when I showed her the note, and she just crumbled into herself, rocking back and forth, whispering his name over and over again like a prayer or a curse. After the police found no new leads, after the posters and the online pleas and the desperate visits to every friend he ever had dried up, we were left with the slow, crushing silence of a house that had lost its heartbeat. His room stayed locked for months. I couldn't go in. Not because of the guilt or the memories, but because some stupid part of me still believed that if I left everything exactly the way he had it, he might come back someday and pick up right where he left off. Stupid hope. It wasn't until winter that I finally worked up the nerve. I sat on his bed staring at the dust-covered monitor, the empty gaming chair, the walls plastered with maps and sketches and notes to himself, little pieces of a world he had created to survive in a world where he mattered, where he was safe. I realized then with a clarity that felt like a blade slipping between my ribs that Evan hadn't just been addicted to a game. He had been building a sanctuary, and I had bulldozed it to the ground, thinking I was saving him, thinking I knew better, thinking love meant control. I found another notebook under his pillow, one I hadn't seen before. The last entry, written in messy, hurried letters, simply said, "If anyone ever reads this, just know I tried so damn hard to be good enough out there, but it's never been enough. It's easier here. I get to be someone, not a failure, not a disappointment, just me. No masks, no fear, no shame. It's better here." I don't know how long I sat there reading and rereading those words until my vision blurred, until my hands went numb and my heart gave up trying to beat against the tidal wave of regret and shame and grief. Evan didn't run away because he hated us. He ran because we had already made him a stranger in his own home. He ran because in the world he built, the world behind that glowing screen, he could be loved, he could be real, and I had taken that from him, thinking I was saving him. The irony cuts deeper than any blade. Sometimes late at night when the house is too quiet and Lisa is crying herself to sleep again, I sit at Evan's desk and turn on his old monitor. The login screen still pops up asking for a password, asking for Corvus73, and every time I type it in and just sit there waiting, hoping for a sign, a message, a ghost in the machine, anything, but the server always says the same thing: user not found.